Small talk circles, for those of you, who come here for the first time, you know what it is? Yes, no, I'm telling you. It's a socializing, networking forum. Okay, it's what I call social education. Because you guys study too hard, you cram your books, you burn your midnight oil, you do well academically, you have high GPA. But outside academia, maybe you need that little knowledge. You need that little extra something, right? But then one day when you do go out and work in a society, in a workforce, your tank, your fountain of knowledge, what I call it, is full. It's pretty full of other things. Such as what about sports, entertainment, architecture, interior design, oil painting, right? Watercolors, splash ink, the Chinese famous splash ink, mural, frescoes, all kinds of things. European architecture, churches, right? You guys are good in those things. What about U.S. election? So a lot of things, politics is another thing that we really have to get our nose on. And Hong Kong politics is different, okay? U.S. politics, Canadian politics, and a lot of Canadians here tonight, and UK politics. I pay a lot of attention to these kind of things. And that's why when I was 37 years old, I was managing director of a multinational company. It's not because I have an MBA and another, master's degree. You don't need those things. Once you get a degree, you can actually throw them away out the window. You don't need those, okay? So this is the purpose of this STC. This is the objective behind, STC that I founded in 2011. Now tonight, I want to just kickstart this thing by showing you two truly remarkable individuals that Kevin and I had the pleasure to meet last week, or this week, Monday actually, just 4 days ago. And the English gentleman's name is Robert Swan. Anybody heard of that name, Robert Swan? And Robert Swan is the first guy who walked both the South Pole and the North Pole. Remarkable guy. And the other person is a British lady, they're both British. And her name is Annabelle Bond. So now I want you to go home and your time after the exam, obviously, go to YouTube and watch. It's so inspirational. Obviously, growing up in a very wealthy family, she didn't have to do all these things. But she is the first person to climb all 7 summits in the Himalayas, the Mount Everest, in record time. In how many days? 360 days, exactly 360 days, to climb all 7 summits on Mount Everest. And her record was held up for 8 years. Until someone actually broke her record 9 years later. Remarkable lady.
For someone who's never been on an 8,000 meter peak, of reaching the summit is like 1 in a 10% chance, something like that, something really low.
To get to the top of Mount Everest, you need determination and creativity. Annabelle sees an obstacle and gets down to it.
I've just seen my first dead body. I'm not really enjoying that experience.
The final crevasse in the western Coombe is 10 stories deep. To position her feet properly, she's forced to look down. This gorge is bridged by 3 aluminum ladders lashed together with climbing rope. Everything about this situation is sickening to Annabelle. The view, the thin air, and the heat combine to make her feel like she might faint. This is no place to faint.
I felt a little bit panicky. I have to tell myself a lot that I can do this, that other people have done it, and I've definitely got the strength and the ability to do it. So I have to keep talking to myself.
It certainly takes a lot of courage to do something like that. And we were talking to her Monday, and she said, if I fell into the little hole, and that would be the end of me. And at that time, she was thinking about, should I just go back to the base camp? And she said, no, I'm going to go forward. And at the end, she climbed all 7 summits in 360 days. Now, some of you guys, think you're really, hot done by, hot chick, couldn't find a job, couldn't find a good girlfriend, boyfriend. Now, your problem is nothing compared with anybody else. Or difficulties. Your difficulties is nothing to compare with anybody else's difficulty, which are behind all 7 syllables. So I'm going to stop right here now and bring on our guest speaker tonight, Andy N. Andy N is a good friend of my son, Justin. They went through university together, University of British Columbia, UBC. And you said something? You're from UBC too? No? Yeah, okay. But, and he's a remarkable young gentleman who has actually found and nurtured a string of successful businesses. Very successful businesses, mainly in the high-tech and multimedia business, which I don't know anything about. And I don't want to waste your time introducing him. I want Andy to introduce himself to you, and then following that, to tell you what he does.
Good evening. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for the introduction. And also thank you, Paula, my colleague, joining me today. And of course, everyone. When Philip first invited me to come and asked me to share, what kinds of topics I would be able to talk about, I just thought, well, maybe I should, talk about entrepreneurship. There's a little bit inside myself that I always want to share with younger generation, and maybe with...
You are young yourself. Younger generation.
Younger generation. So entrepreneurship is not about winning. It's not about self-ego. I believe entrepreneurship is all about how you can bring out what is in your mind, your thoughts, how can you make it come true in reality. So that's the idea of entrepreneurship. And the second most important thing, it's about responsibility. Being responsible to finish what you have started. So this is also entrepreneurship that I think is very important. And Phil mentioned about time management. My time management, I have to manage my daughter, 4.5 years old, spend a lot of time with her. I have to spend time with my wife. We've been married for 11.5 years. And I have to spend time for some of my hobbies. I like to take pictures myself, spend time for myself. And I have to spend time to learn. Each year I would spend about 300 hours to excel myself, to learn. Because as an entrepreneur, no one will teach you. I would go out and seek for mentors. I'll go out and seek for someone to help. Look at my blind spots, or look at my sort of pros and cons, I would say. Mainly my blind spots, my weaknesses. And this is a chart of, when you get a job, employee is the blue line, your emotions would be quite stable. But once you become an entrepreneur, you go on the roller coaster journey. You hit the highest high, and the lowest low, usually. And at each of the lowest point of my life, there's nothing much I can do besides praying and maybe learning, or visit one of the bookstores, which I'm pretty sad today because just announced that page 1 has been closed down. That used to be, if you go to the personal, self-help section, I was there every time when I reached the low lows of my life. So anyways, we all have 24 hours. This is, the game of life. You have 24 hours, Phil has 24 hours, myself, I have 24 hours. And it really depends on how you manage your time, how much time you spend during your weekends, what you are trying to do during your weekends. Either in my phone or studying, reading a book or watching a movie, playing your mobile games or trying to excel yourself. So time is important. So when I first graduated from British Columbia, University of British Columbia, I decided to come back to Hong Kong because Canada is more like a place for retirement. I assume. Because most of my friends would either go to Seattle, San Francisco to find a job, or they would fly back to Asia, to Taiwan, Thailand, Japan, China, Shanghai, Hong Kong. So I just thought that, well, maybe I should come back, even though my parents, they are in Vancouver. So I came back and I joined the company. And it was the year of 2001, my first job. I joined this company called Ogilvy and Makers, one of the best advertising company in the world. Hong Kong is one of the largest advertising company as well. And this guy is called David Ogilvy. And the interview, there were 250 candidates, and they were about to pick 2. And I was lucky enough that I got in the first round, second round, third round, and the 4th round I got accepted. But then, there was a day I had all my Nike shoes, Nike shirts, Nike, apparels on, because our team was about to go and pitch Nike, which is one of my favorite brands. And in those days, I only had 3 favorite brands, which is Nokia, Yahoo, and Nike. 2 of them are almost gone. So I asked my business director, I said, okay, let's go out and pitch. And she replied me and said, you are sorry, Andy, we have already 5 of us going, so including you, it will be too big of a team. And I said, so? And she said, well, you're only a junior executive. So I wasn't able to go, so I was pretty upset. And the next day I resigned. I resigned, seriously. Because I thought that, I asked her, how long would it take me to become a business director? And she told me 6 years. And I said, how long would it take me to become the managing director of Ogilvy Hong Kong? And she told me that, well, our youngest managing director, he is a miracle in the industry. 38 years old, managing director of Ogilvy Hong Kong. I'm not yet 38 years old. So I decided to leave the company and I started on my own. I decided to, instead of spending time to build on someone's dream, I decided to spend time building on my own dream. So I started with 1 desk, 1 laptop. In the old days,
That's not you, though.
that's not me. That's not me. Very upset, a little bit frustrated, 911, IT bubble, not much opportunities. So I decided to, just start with no business plan, nothing. I just wanted to start a company. So I named the company New Digital Noise, because in short, it is called NDN, just like my name. So I started this company, and it was the days where I like to hang out, 22 years old. I like to hang out in Lan Kwai Fong. And I was lucky enough that I met the son of Alan Zeman, Jonathan Zeman. So they were, having all these. So Alan Zeman is the godfather of Lan Kwai Fong, clubs and bars, king. So he owns 17 restaurants in Lan Kwai Fong, and I was like, okay, what can we do, together? And Jonathan said, well, usually Wednesday, Thursday, we have no traffic at all. So if you can bring traffic, we'll split the bar. 50% sales revenue comes into us. And I said, okay, that's good, because in student unions, we always call for parties, right? So I call the overseas students, like, all the Ivy League schools, the Canadian, Australian, UK. So we say, okay, let's go out and party. And we bring in the traffic. And then that was my first bucket of money that, we split the bar sales. That was how I started. But after a year, I just thought that it would be very difficult for me to continue drinking every night. So I came up with this idea, because all of us, like teenagers, we don't like staying at home and watching TV. So I just thought that, well, maybe we should bring advertising into the clubs and bars. Because in the old days, as you still remember, clubs and bars, they only have alcohol and beverages, like cigarettes. They promote cigarettes and beverages, but not any other brands. So I came up with this idea is to install 6.4-inch TV screens inside the clubs and bars and promote. And after a year, actually 9 months, we went from 15 locations to 80 locations, all the clubs and bars. And we had bring in, my first client was actually, it's not here, it's Now TV. And then we had Fidel Sassoon, Nokia, and then look at the advertisers in Hong Kong. They're so greedy. They want to wrap the display outside, not the videos inside. So that was the time when we first sort of kickstarted our digital out of home, promoting clubs and bars. And then SARS came, 2003. All our displays were gone, and I was a little bit upset. And that was the time. It's like climbing Mount Everest. It's either give up or you continue to go. Camp base, get a job, or move out and go out for uncertainty, go out for the life of surprises. So that was a time when I asked myself this question: what is the easiest thing to do as an entrepreneur? And I've answered myself that the easiest thing to do is to quit, to give up. So I continue. Because of exponential growth, we also see AI, artificial intelligence. Why I want to show you this, it seems like too far-fetched, but at the same time, you have to look at this chart. This is from IBM Watson. It says that cognitive computing will be as disruptive to organization in the next decade as social media was in the past, in the last decade. Last decade is all about social media. Next decade, from now on, it will be all about computer, AI, machine learning. So that's why Mark Zuckerberg came out and launched chatbots. Chatbots, which you can chat with the robot. And then this will be a disruption on mobile as well. Because mobile application disrupted internet. And we are looking at chatbots will be disrupting apps, mobile apps. Because there will be a whole lot of like iMessenger, WeChat, Line, Snapchat, Instagram. These are all messaging platforms that everyone's trying to build on the applications. So there will be a lot of chatbots coming out that we have been working on, and I'll just quickly flip through. And also big data. Because everyone here taking photos, texting message, we are all producing data. So that, this year alone, there was a report from McKinsey. It says that this year in 2006, 80% of the data that we have created for this year, it's all the data that we've created this year is 80% of the entire history of humanity. That's the data, this year alone. So I was in MIT 2 years ago. They show us this satellite photo, and I was like, what's going on? Come on, like satellite. And this is actually a satellite monitoring the car park occupancy, the car park space occupancy and vacancy. And I was like, okay, and then so what? And they said because McDonald's is monitoring the competitors Burger King, and they will put in per vacancy or occupancy, they will map $3.99 per car, and they'll eventually estimate the competitors' sales. And by that, they will place on billboards on highway and drive traffic into the parking lot and see whether the sales would increase. And it's already happening, and they're using the kind of technology to build sales upon. So this is how fast the world is growing as well. And there are a whole lot of data coming in, and big data, I don't want to get into too much of a detail, but because of this idea, I decided to start a data company. It's a big data analytic company that we monitor over 10 billion data records. We have the Chinese and the Western social media platforms with 12 of them. And then we are translated into 20 languages, 192 industries, in 3 operating systems and monitoring 55,000 brands. So this platform is called Clarity. I'll just show you a little bit of the cool things that we're doing at this stage. So if you look at Lancôme, I think a couple months back, there's a crisis for Lancôme because they use an artist called whole CC, whole C or 1C. And then this started in China, where Weibo says, oh, this brand Lancome is rubbish. So we see, oh, this is Hong Kong Facebook. Facebook that says Lancome, this brand is rubbish. But in the China Weibo is boycott. I won't buy. So just by looking at the data, we can see the actions of users, us. In Hong Kong, we complain. In China, they take action. So that's the difference. And of course, traditional bell curve in crisis management, 6 days later, no one would even mention about Lancome. So that's the data, that we make use of data to do interpretation. So there are a lot of data information coming in, and this company I just felt really excited. So I just put down my hat and went back to become an entrepreneur. I went on pitch stages. This is in Dublin. So, as an entrepreneur, you have to go pitch your idea in 1 minute. They call it elevator pitch, or 30 seconds. Yeah. So I went on the stage. This is from PayPal. They're giving out this 1.5 million PayPal transaction fee waived. It's not 1.5 million, it's 1.5 million transaction fee waived. So it's like the 2.3% of the transaction that they're giving it as a prize. So I just thought that, well, maybe I should try and go and pitch. So I went on, I jumped in, and it happens that the pitch on the stage was not talking about your business. I have to rap about my business. So they went to the backstage, and I have to pick a song, pick a soundtrack, and then I keep on talking about my business model, and they scripted out for me, and then pushes us to a channel, a live channel that we have to rap. And then I was so embarrassed because we have to dress like, this is the VP of PayPal. This is my partner and friend. So we went on the pitch and we waited for half an hour and we won somehow. And I was so surprised how could we won because there are so many contestants. And John, this VP, said, well, you won. You guys almost lose to the other guy. And we looked at the video. It was great. And I said, why we won? And he said, because those guys rapped too fast. He couldn't hear what they were doing. So anyways, we won. And to wrap up, so I just want to bring this out because entrepreneur, if you have the hunger, the spirit and the passion, you do crazy stuff. Get away your ego, get away your things. So and of course, by doing so many things, I also contribute back to the community. So I started TEDx Wan Chai. So TEDx Wan Chai I started 7 years ago, and now I'm just an advisor. And fell many times, stand up 8, try to follow your passion, young guys. This is me many years ago. Here's now my team. And I just moved into a new office that I really enjoyed. So in the past, we have now served 12,000 clients from nothing to now, won over 150 awards, and this is what we do now. We integrate data technology, marketing technology, and information technology. Then we continue to drive innovation, inspiration, and integrate digital technology. So dream big. You know why? Because it's for free.